Hi, I'm Nicole Hurd, and welcome to my podcast. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to be inspired. And the good news is, there are a lot of inspiring people associated with the College Advising Corps. Over the coming weeks and months, I will have the honor of introducing you to them. People who believe in hope, people who believe in opportunity, people who believe in our beauty, our power, and our potential. People who believe in serving in communities, and people who courageously say, I believe in you. And we will also talk about the importance of navigating the path to college. Join me in this journey to be inspired, this journey in a time of challenge to lift and love and dream. Welcome to the Knowledge for College podcast. Hi, everybody. We're back with another podcast, and I am so excited today because today we are being brave, and we are being brave with two of my favorite people. One of them is Representative Joaquin Castro from San Antonio, Texas, and the other is Jobrina Perez, who is an advisor with our Texas A&M chapter. So Representative Castro, who I will call Joaquin right now because he's family, so I'm going to drop the formalities. Joaquin and Jobrina, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Joaquin, I'm going to start with you because I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, but that's part of being brave. I've been saying this podcast is supposed to be making me comfortable being uncomfortable, but we've got three goals with this podcast. One is to radiate light and love and hope in a time where it feels like that's not happening. We're in the middle of a pandemic and people are going back to school who are watching this or getting ready to advise they're watching this, and we want them to feel that love and light. The second is to amplify voices. And so excited to amplify your and Jobrina's voices today. And the third is to give a little bit of practical advice. But with the theme being brave, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but I think some of us look at you and say, oh my goodness, Representative Castro, he's been so successful. They saw you on the national stage. But I remember 10 years ago when I met you, you were a state representative. Your brother was mayor of San Antonio. We met in City Hall. We actually launched the Texas work that Jobrina was part of on the steps of City Hall while you were a state legislature. So can you talk a little bit about, because you weren't kind of born as Representative Joaquin Castro, you've actually had a journey. So for all of our students out there and advisors who are thinking about, oh my goodness, I need to be brave, I'm going to apply to college, or oh my goodness, I'm going to be brave, I need to go to college. My daughter, just on a personal note, is supposed to go to college in 2 weeks. I had to stick a swab in her nose so that she could be COVID negative before she started school. So we're being brave in another way in my household, but right now. But Joaquin, talk a little bit about your applying to college and your leaving for college and how you were brave at that time.
Well, first of all, it's great to be with you and congratulations on the launch of the podcast. It's such a tough time. I think that transition from going to high school to going on to college, even the beginning of it, which is deciding to go, but then deciding where you want to go and where you're going to go. I have a twin brother, Julian, and we had both applied to a lot of the same colleges, and we ended up getting into some of the same ones, and we ended up going to Stanford together. But before we decided to go there, we had never seen the place. They had a pre-freshman weekend, but my parents couldn't afford to send us. So we just made a decision that we were going to go. We were going to show up. But there was like a lot of fear and trepidation around just going to a place that you've never been before with people that you don't know. And it's such a personal thing. I was thinking about it the other day. There are very few times in your life where you literally go from your hometown and the place where you've lived a long time at your home with your family, very close to a bunch of people that you've never met before. And so I remember on the way up, we got on the flight and I think I cried half the way there. I mean, really, because I was leaving home and had not been away from my parents before, my family before. Now I was lucky because I had my brother there with me. And so that I think helped a good bit. But there are a lot of people who are going through that experience for the first time, really on their own. And I think the most important thing is to believe in yourself and believe that whatever it is that you're setting out to do in college to pursue your dreams, that you can achieve those dreams. And I think a big part of the way that you do that is by surrounding yourself with people that believe in you as much as you can. People that believe that when you say you want to be a doctor or a teacher or a lawyer, whatever it is you want to do, they stand by you, they lift you up, and they help you get there.
Well, Joaquin, we say all the time. I think the four most important words any of us say to each other is "I believe," are "I believe in you." Right? That those words are just so important to be able to say "I believe in you," and to be brave. And I knew that story because you had mentioned that there were a few ugly tears on those flights that it took to get you from San Antonio to the Bay Area. So I think part of what we're trying to do is give some practical advice, and I think about all those students right now who are watching or who are listening to this really starting to think about, like, it's now my senior year of high school. This isn't what I expected my senior year of high school to look like. Should I still go, right? I think there's actually a value proposition problem out there right now. So if we've got students listening right now, Joaquin, what would you say to a student right now who's going to be in this class of 2021, and they're going to have to be brave, right? This isn't even a choice. So what would you say to a student right now?
This is really unprecedented. The country and the world haven't dealt with a pandemic like this in 100 years, right? Since the so-called Spanish flu. And so, going from high school to college is tough enough for everybody. But when you layer this huge thing on top of it, it really, really is a even tougher situation for everyone. I hope folks will make the decision to continue. Uh, if this is going to be their freshman year, especially, that they'll continue and start. And I say that because sometimes when you put things off, life has a way of taking you away from the path that you were intending to go upon. And I wouldn't want to see that for folks. But I know that there's a lot of concern. Some colleges are going to do virtual learning for a bit. And people are wondering, well, why am I going to spend a lot of money, when I can't even go to campus for a while or do this or that. But I think in the end, I hope for folks, especially the students who come from the community, the kind of community that I came from, the kind of folks that are served by the College Advising Corps, I hope that they'll continue on because you want to make sure that you get down that road of getting your higher education degree so that you can get closer to your dreams, whatever it is that you want to do.
Thank you for that, Joaquin. Jobrina, what would you say? I mean, you spent 2 years in a high school being a college advisor. What would you say to students as they're coming back right now for their senior year of high school? What would you say to that population?
Yeah. Um, First, I think I would start off. I would just like to encourage the class of 2021 because I think the first step is recognizing that the year you're stepping into is going to be really different and it can be hard, and there will be days, weeks, or a month or so that's just, it's inevitably going to be hard. But I want to challenge the class of 2021 to not stay stuck in that mindset, to not, um, think that this is a way that it's always going to be and fall into the victim mindset of hopelessness and that there's no hope for me. And because everything is different, that um, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be able to reach the goals or the dreams that I have set for myself and that I have worked for these past 4 years. I want to challenge them to remember that they've worked so hard all of these past 3 years and to continue to work hard their senior year, and to remember that their advisors that are there for them in their Go Center, in their College Center, whoever they have around them, a peer, a mentor, to lean on them and to remember to call on a friend or on an advisor whenever they need a little bit of encouragement or whenever they need a little bit of help, because sometimes you can't see the potential for yourself, and you need other people to be able to call out that potential in you as a student. And so my advice there would be, lean on your advisors, because that's what they signed up for. They signed up to help you, to support you through your college selection process, through the application process, and they they're choosing to be there for you. So lean on them, because things are going to get hard, but acknowledge that it's hard, but then keep moving on and moving forward and figure out, how can I overcome this challenge that's right in front of me, and how can I make this better for myself and for the people around me? Because I'm a big believer that you think is the place you're going to go. So if you're constantly thinking all of these negative things, then that's the place you're going to go. But if you're thinking, like, I can do this, and I am powerful, or I am smart, like that is my challenge to the class of 2021.
So it's a great challenge, Jobrina. Thank you for sharing that. I will say, um, one of the things I'm concerned about is really how do we encourage students to use their voice, right? And I think one of the reasons why I called this episode "Being Brave" is because it takes bravery to use your voice, right? I think to be out there using your voice, whichever way you do, it means you have to be brave. I mean, look at I'm doing exactly what you said, Jobrina. I'm trying to be brave by doing a podcast, so I brought the two of you with me. So I'm absolutely acting out on your advice there. But Joaquin, I think about how brave it is to be in your shoes, right? I've watched you introduce legislation. I've watched you go into places that are uncomfortable. I've watched you have an incredible op-ed recently about Latinos in Hollywood and the importance of representation. So where do you get your voice for a student out there who's scared to use their voice, where do you get your kind of inside you? Where does that bravery come from?
Well, I mean, I grew up in a family that was very committed to grassroots politics, and my mom was very active in the Mexican American civil rights movement. So for years, a lot of it was growing up around people in my family, people that I was close to that cared a great deal about a lot of the issues that I work on now. But then also, I think there's a lot of energy or a lot of support, for me at least, that comes from the people that I represent, the people of San Antonio here, as I talk to people about what's going on in their lives and the frustrations they feel. I mean, the excitement they feel, everything. I tend to feed off of that, and that helps me a lot in what I do. And so I think just being surrounded by people who care about these things gives me a great deal of energy to go out there and advocate for them.
And Jobrina, what makes you brave?
Yeah, that's a great question. Similarly, I would agree that, having people around me who have similar goals or a similar mindset is something that keeps me going on the day to day. There's this saying, some of you may have heard of it, but there's always someone who has it worse or someone who has it better than you. And so I often will try to, put myself in those positions where I am able to serve someone who has a different circumstance than me. And when you are serving someone in a community that's maybe more marginalized or more vulnerable than the community that you may have grown up in, your perspective gets put into place a little bit more. You change perspectives, I should say, and you recognize that what you have is actually not that bad, and maybe it's good to be maybe more grateful or thankful for the things that you do have, and it calls you to I think for me personally, I know that it challenges me to just, take for the sake of bettering my community. Um, and so I think being surrounded by people who have similar minds, and then recognizing that what I'm doing is not for myself, right? It's for my community. It's for the people that I'm around. And it's those people that challenge me to do better and to be better by just listening to others people's stories and being surrounded by people's stories who are different than you. And so, yeah.
I think what you both just reflected so beautifully is the importance of service, right? I think when we all serve, it puts us in a different space, right? And that call to serve is real. And when you're trying to be brave, you also need to remember why you do it. And I think the two of you do it in service, and that's one of the reasons why you're heroes in my book. So so grateful for both of you. We're going to wrap up, but I just want to say, Joaquin, any final words you want to say to everybody out there as we wrap?
I just want to say, I know that everybody is going through a very tough time. Um, a lot of people's health has been harmed. People have had family members who've lost their jobs. Maybe some of the students lost their jobs during this pandemic. And so folks are very anxious and very nervous. But I want folks as much as possible to believe that the plan that they put in motion, the plan that they've set forth, that they'll be able to see it through. That they'll be able, if they're going into their last year in high school or their junior year, that they'll be able to go on to college and graduate and go on to their careers, and that they should continue to plan for that.
Well, I've been saying this, I think Jobrian has heard me say this multiple times as we went through a pretty bumpy spring together. I know you've heard me say this, Joaquin, but I want to keep sharing, love is not canceled. Opportunity is not canceled. We are not canceled, right? So let's keep at it. Thank you both for the love and light you radiate. Thank you both for the service you give. And hopefully we've inspired some students and advisors today to keep going. They are not canceled, and we believe in them. So thank you both so much for everything you do.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care, y'all.
Thanks so much. Thank you for spending some time with us. I hope you've left inspired and ready to serve. For more information about College Advising Corps, please visit collegeadvisingcorps.org. And until next time, we believe in you.